Good morning. Good morning, viewers. I'm on here so early. Earlier than normal. Sorry, West Coasters who are used to me being here a little bit later. Oh, and I have water on me. But hi, Sarah. Hello. Hi, everybody. Good morning. So early. So early. Yeah, I have an appointment in town, so I only have about 45 minutes, and I got to take off. Hi, Catherine, and Betty, and Roseanne. I saw Michelle. I saw several people come in. Yeah, I put a note in the group, but it was probably too late. I bet nobody saw it. I was like, oh yeah, put a note in there that you're going to be on early at 11 o'clock at night. That's helpful. Yeah, roll call. That's funny. Hi, Tanya. I was talking to somebody last night, and she was talking about adult coloring books and how she has one and really enjoys it. Hello, how is Florida? Are you back from Florida? And that, so she colors and plays music and how it's just so enormously relaxing. And I was telling her how stepping back from, now I was on Facebook late last night because things had stacked up while I was sleeping. Yeah, I haven't used them that much. I've used some, but not a lot. Look at what you're doing with your activities, because coloring and for me it's reading fiction. I bought some fiction books lately and I haven't been reading fiction for a long time, and I realize how crappy my attention span has gotten. So I've been making myself read and actually read more than 2 pages because my impulse is to check Facebook. Oh, that's really cool. I'm glad to see that they're getting popular, because I think we instinctually know that we need to meditate, and coloring is meditative. So if you have people who can't get into the word meditation, or can't because their religion prohibits it or whatever, they can color and get the same effect. Yeah, that can't be normal, right? 9 seconds. So I read 2 pages and I want to jump over to Facebook. It's no wonder that my creativity in some areas has been in the crapper. Yeah, so if you color for 10 minutes and you get interrupted, so part of it is our activities, once we get interrupted, it's hard to get back to them. But coloring you can pick up and put down. So it's funny to me, as a race, as a species, that we have people telling us all day long to turn the cell phone off and get off the TV and get off the internet and take up meditation and stuff, but that doesn't work for everybody. So what happens? A spike in coloring book sales, right? Coloring books are the hottest thing ever because we know we need it. So as a species, we figure out how to get it, even if we call it something different, because there's no way you can color and not slip into a meditative state. So we're solving our problems whether we know it or not. It's genius. We're freaking geniuses. Hold on, I gotta drink some of this hot tea. I couldn't finish my coffee yesterday. I got the sips you guys saw and I had to pour it out. I wanted to cry. I thought it was interesting. That stuff gives me hope for the human race. So I read 2 pages of a book and I want to check Facebook, but I've cut myself off of Facebook for certain hours, so I'm forced to sit there and read. My hope is I can get my attention span back a little bit. This is helping. Reminding me to be creative. Reminding me that it doesn't matter what you're creating. You don't have to monetize everything. You don't have to monetize anything. Oh, good, Roseanne. You won't regret it. I've got highlights and stuff. Now we're into the section of the book that I haven't read either. So we're discovering this together. Let me get some more tea in me. My stomach is still messed up. But I slept like 20 hours in the last 24 hours, so. Whose husband is good at paying attention or not paying attention? The comment faded right as I looked at it. I can't see. Oh, see, Heath doesn't either. He won't go anywhere near the internet unless he's looking for a part for a mower or something, or a fishing spot. It's your hill to die on. All right, let's talk about your day job. The whole time I was practicing to be a writer, I always had a day job. Even after I got published, I didn't quit my day job just to be on the safe side. In fact, I didn't quit my day job, or my day jobs, I should say, until I had already written 3 books. Those 3 books were all published by major houses and were all reviewed nicely in the New York Times. One of them had even been nominated for a National Book Award. From an outside perspective, it might have looked like I'd already made it, but I wasn't taking any chances, so I kept my day job. It wasn't until my 4th book, and that book was freaking Eat, Pray, Love, for heaven's sake, that I finally allowed myself to quit all other work and become nothing other than a writer of books. I held on to those other sources of income for so long because I never wanted to burden my writing with the responsibility of paying for my life. I knew better than to ask this of my writing because over the years I have watched so many other people murder their creativity by demanding that their art pay the bills. I've seen artists drive themselves broke and crazy because of the insistence that they are not legitimate creators unless they can exclusively live off their creativity. And when their creativity fails them, meaning doesn't pay the rent, they descend into resentment, anxiety, and even bankruptcy. Worst of all, they quit creating at all. I've always felt like this is so cruel to your work, to demand a regular paycheck from it, as if creativity were a government job or a trust fund. If you think of creativity like a feral cat, you have to sneak up on it. And the minute it thinks you have an agenda, it's gone. It's totally gone. The minute it catches a whiff that you've got something in mind, it's out of there. Very same. Juna took me 4 months of feather toys and behavior modification and training. Actually, I was training him to come inside. And he taught me so much about how to allow another force in the universe to, you'll never catch them. You can only invite them. He taught me how to allow the universal forces to choose their own path. So he was a kitten and he was probably going to die, and it was dramatic and horrible in my head. It probably wasn't that big a deal. But I had to learn to let him choose the timing and to let him, obviously I had no control over when he showed up at my window and when he didn't. So I really see creativity in life as the same. Like I have to offer and present that I'm willing to participate in relationship, but the receiver on the other, or the co-participant on the other end of that, whether it's life or a feral cat, has to choose. And I have to have no agenda. Just the joy of relationship. That's it. Anything more than that, and they know it, and they're gone. If you can manage to live comfortably off your inspiration forever, yeah. Let's see. That's fantastic. That's everyone's dream, right? But don't let that dream turn into a nightmare. Financial demands can put so much pressure on the delicacies and vagaries of inspiration. You must be smart about providing for yourself. To claim that you are too creative to think about financial questions is to infantilize yourself. Make yourself a big fat baby. That's what infantilize means. And I beg you not to she used it again. I beg you not to infantilize yourself because it's demeaning to your soul. While it's lovely to be childlike in your pursuit of creativity, in other words, it's dangerous to be childish. Hi, Linda. Absolutely perfect to be childlike, dangerous to be childish. Very important point. Other fantasies include the dream of marrying for money. Hi. with fantasized. Okay, here's other fantasies that ruin us, okay? The dream of marrying for money. Does anyone still have that dream? Come on. The dream of inheriting money. The dream of winning the lottery. I still have that one. And the dream of finding a studio wife, male or female, who will look after all your mundane concerns so that you can be free to commune with inspiration in a peaceful cocoon, utterly sheltered from the inconveniences of reality. Come on now. I do kind of have a studio wife, spouse, husband. He is kind of a studio husband. He does take care of a lot of things if I'm in the middle of drawing or writing. But you didn't. Damn it. He'll go do the groceries. He'll take care of the housework. A studio husband or a studio wife is somebody who takes care of the creator while he or she is creating. So if I'm doing a drawing or I'm in the middle of something and I need him to do something, he will, without complaint. He'll do the dishes or the laundry or go get groceries or whatever. Assuming he's not working, obviously, but he's pretty generous about that. So let's let those baby dreams go, okay? This is a world, not a womb. Yeah, if he's here and he's not working, he's taking care of other things so that I can continue to draw or write or whatever, or be here on Periscope with you guys. He's a lot like an angry George. Yeah, I am too. I put up with a lot of other stuff because I recognize I'm pretty blessed in other areas. It's a world, not a womb, people. We're not still in the womb. You can look after yourself in this world while looking after your creativity at the same time, just as people have done for ages. Same, Catherine. Heath doesn't show his feelings much either. Well, he thinks he's not. He does show them, but he can keep them secret for a while. He can hold on to it for a long time. But that's true of most men, I think. Right, those Martian men. What's more, there is a profound sense of honor to be found in looking after yourself, and that honor will resonate powerfully in your work. It will make you stronger. Also, it may be the case that there are seasons when you can live off your art and seasons when you cannot. This need not be regarded as a crisis. It's only natural in the flux and uncertainty of a creative life. Or maybe you took a big risk in order to follow some creative dream and it didn't quite pay off. So now you have to work for the man for a while to save up money until it's time to go chase your next dream. That's fine. Just do it. Mary Oliver worked waitressing jobs and restaurant jobs and, gas station stuff to, pay the bills while she wrote her amazing poetry. And she did that for years. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God. Her work is outstanding, but it still took a long time. You just have to be prepared to do it. And there's been times where I had so many portraits that it paid a good portion of our bills for the month. But then the next month I wouldn't have any. So creativity is inconsistent. So the money is inconsistent if it's something that you're monetizing. Me too. Good Lord. Me too. To yell at your creativity saying, you must earn money for me, is sort of like yelling at a cat. Oh, there you go. It has no idea what you're talking about, and all you're doing is scaring it away. Yes, creativity. Yeah, and it will because you've got your priorities in order. All you're doing is scaring it away because you're making really loud noises and your face looks weird when you do that. You must earn money for me. It doesn't work. I held on to my day jobs for so long because I wanted to keep my creativity free and safe. I maintained alternative streams of income so that when my inspiration wasn't flowing, I could say to it, no worries, mate. Just take your time. I'm here whenever you're ready. I was always willing to work hard so that my creativity could play lightly. And in doing so, I became my own patron. I became my own studio wife. So many times I have longed to say to stressed out, financially strapped artists, just take the pressure off yourself, dude, and get a job. There's no dishonor in having a job. What is dishonorable is scaring away your creativity by demanding that it pay for your entire existence. This is why whenever anyone tells me they're quitting their day job in order to write a novel, my palms get a little sweaty. This is why when anyone tells me that their plan for getting out of debt is to sell their first screenplay, I'm like, yikes! Write that novel, yes. Definitely try to sell the screenplay. I hope with all my heart that good fortune finds you and showers you with abundance. But don't count on the payoff. I beg of you, only because such payoffs are exceedingly rare, and you might very well kill off your creativity by holding it to such a harsh ultimatum. In Georgia, because this state has become the Hollywood of the South, there's so many, I don't know if y'all know that, but there's like a zillion films and TV series and stuff being filmed here, and even more now because the state just passed some kind of tax break garbage or something. Anyway, there's postings all the time for extras. So when I first got here, I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And I might still do it because I think it would just be fun to do it. But they pay those extras $8 an hour. $8 an hour for 12-hour shifts. Yeah, Walking Dead is filmed here. There's a James, what's his name, is doing that Grapes of Wrath that just wrapped up filming here. There's quite a bit. So you can work as an extra. I mean, Heath could work as an extra all day long. No, Atlanta metro area. That's like an hour and a half away. But Heath's body type, he could work as an extra every day of the week. But you know that there's like tons of people who are hoping for their big break that way. $8 an hour. Psh, whatever. I was like, that was the shit sandwich I was not willing to eat. Yeah, like they're doing you a favor. Hey, Adrian, I didn't see you come in. And it's 12-hour shifts, so it's $8 an hour, and then after 8 hours, it's like $12 an hour. But you got to be on there for 12 hours a day. Good morning. Yeah, thanks, no. But there's people who want that experience bad enough to do it. Anyway, be real about it. But I'm still going to do it. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So, don't ask of your creativity that it do what it can't do. It can't be consistent. That would be like asking the wind to be consistent or the tides to be always consistent. They're fairly consistent, but when they go out, they're gonna come back. You can know that much, but that's about all the certainty you've got. Creativity is gonna ebb and flow. Oh, my mother-in-law. You'll have the cat image, yeah. The sooner you figure out that when it gets to the point like you're beating your head on a brick wall, it's time to put your work down for the day. Always show up. But when you hit that point of, not the kind of resistance where you're like, oh, I don't really want to, that kind of resistance. When you hit the resistance like, it's done, it's over. We might have just worked 10 minutes, but it's done, it's gone. Go ahead and stop. Go ahead and stop for the day. And the important part is to show up every day. However much you get done is however much you get done. The consistency is the showing up. Don't expect the inspiration to be consistent. It won't be. You showing up is the consistency. So, you can always make your art on the side of your bread and butter job. Hi! Babs, right? That's what I did for 3 whole books. And if it hadn't been for the bananas success of Eat, Pray, Love, that's what I'd still be doing now. That's what Toni Morrison did That's what Toni Morrison did when she used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work on her novels before going off to her real-life career in the publishing world. That's what J.K. Rowling did back when she was an impoverished single mom struggling to get by and writing on the side. That's what my friend Ann Patchett did back when she worked as a waitress at TGI Fridays and wrote in her spare hours. That's what a busy married couple I know does, both of them illustrators, both of them with full-time jobs, when every morning they rise a full hour before their children awake to sit across from each other in their small studio space and quietly draw. Elmore Leonard wrote, do you guys know who Elmore Leonard is? He's a great writer. He wrote Get Shorty and, a ton of other. I'm so sorry I'm so bad at titles. You guys know where the Google is, though. So Elmore Leonard wrote his first books on a legal pad inside his desk drawer at work. So he'd pull his desk drawer out and he would handwrite his novels on legal pads. And then I think it was John Grisham that wrote on his subway ride to work and back. You write, if you feel like you can't write until you have a certain space and a certain time and a special pen and a special whatever, you're killing your creativity right there, because you can write. If you have a hand that can pick up a pen and find a napkin, you can write. There's nothing keeping you from writing. And now with Google Docs has, and your phone has speech to text. Yeah, Get Shorty was a great movie and a great book. You can open a Google Doc on your phone and dictate to it, get home, open your computer, and edit it. There's absolutely no reason not to have stories coming out if stories are your thing. Same with drawing. If you have the passion to do it, you'll find a way to do it. If that's writing on legal pads inside your desk drawer, yeah, speech to text, voice to text, there's no reason not to write. That's an excuse, really. If you feel like you have to have it a certain fussy, a certain way before you can do it, no. That's a way that resistance keeps you from not creating. Yeah, he was a pretty prolific writer and a really good writer. So, people don't do this kind of thing because they have all kinds of extra time and energy for it. They do this kind of thing because their creativity matters to them enough that they are willing to make extra sacrifice. Yeah, extra sacrifices for it. Unless you come from landed gentry, that's what everyone does. Unless you're a Trustafarian, you have to work. You have to get your money somewhere while your creativity is moving along. When I lived in Fort Collins, we were surrounded by a lot. I don't know why there was so many trust fund babies, but there was tons of them. White people can't do dreads. I'm sorry if you're a white person that has dreads, but you need to knock that off. It doesn't work for you. We had tons of them that looked like they had little animals running around in their dreads. I don't know what that was. Fort Collins has a pretty hefty hippie population. I went through a spell. In grad school. She had cornrows. I'm talking about dreadlocks. That's all fuzzy, which doesn't work with white hair. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. But in grad school, you lose your mind. Like the last year of grad school, they tell you, please don't make any decisions because you are insane right now and you don't know it, but we know it. So we're telling you, don't make any decisions right now. Don't leave your spouse. Don't up and move. And I decided that I needed to have dreadlocks. And my daughter Morgan was like, no, you cannot. It doesn't work with white hair. Go to the pickle barrel and look around. You can't have dreadlocks. And I was like, I can have whatever I want. And I have curly hair, so I can have dreadlocks in like 3 days. But, I came to my senses and didn't do it because it doesn't work. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. So paint your ox. What time did it?
8:57.
8:57, so I have 15 minutes. Yeah, they're beautiful on the people whose heads they belong on, which is not, I'm sorry, honkies can't cut it. Honkies can't pull that off. It's a sad thing. Right, boom, dreads. I was like, no, you can't. You have to cut them off. I was like, I can have dreadlocks in one backpacking trip. Yes. Oh yeah, if you've got curly hair, you can do it, but it never looks right. It doesn't look.
It's nasty.
It doesn't look like it's supposed to look. That's my judgment for the day. Paint your ox. For most of human history, then, the vast majority of people have made their art in stolen moments. That's my sidebar. Yeah, that's my sidebar rant for the day. Using scraps of borrowed time and often using pilfered or discarded materials to boot. The Irish poet Patrick Kavanagh says it marvelously. See over there, a created splendor made by one individual from things residual. You can do that too. See over there, a created splendor made by one individual from things residual. That's exactly what it looks like too, Sarah. I once encountered a man in India who owned nothing of value but an ox. The ox had 2 handsome horns. In order to celebrate his ox, the man had painted one of the horns hot pink and the other horn turquoise blue. He then glued little bells to the tips of each horn so that when the ox shook its head, its flashy pink and blue horns made a cheerful tinkling sound. This hard-working and financially stressed man had only one valuable possession, but he had embellished it to the max, using whatever materials he could get his hands on, a bit of house paint, a touch of glue, and some bells. As a result, he now possessed the most interesting-looking ox in town. For what? Just because. Because a decorated ox is better than a non-decorated ox, obviously. As evidenced by the fact that 11 years later, we shall embellish. 11 years later, the only other animal, the only animal I can distinctly remember from my visit to that small Indian village is that fantastically decked out ox. Is this the ideal environment in which to create, having to make art out of things residual in stolen time? Not really. Or maybe it's fine. Maybe it doesn't matter, because that's how things have always been made. Most individuals have never had enough time, and they've never had enough resources, and they've never had enough support or patronage or reward, and yet still they persist in creating. They persist because they care. They persist because they are called to be makers by any means necessary. You know those incredible pots made by Native Americans that they paint with horsehair, like sometimes a single hair is used to make those intricate geometric designs? Do you think they're doing that in their spare time? They're doing that when the kids are napping. They still have to get up and, take care of their families, and then they run and, slap a design on a pot and run back to change a diaper. You don't have to make it so special. You can just create. Money helps, to be sure, but if money were the only thing people needed in order to live creative lives, then the mega-rich would be the most imaginative, generative, and original thinkers among us, and they simply are not. I think we know that to be true. The essential ingredients for creativity remain exactly the same for everybody: courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, and trust. And those elements are universally acceptable, which does not mean that creative living is always easy. It merely means that creative living is always possible. I feel like I fell for a huge cultural lie because I thought that for a long time that if I was spiritual, if I was on my destined path, that everything would be easy. And if it wasn't easy, then I wasn't on the right path. And then I found out that that was complete and utter bullshit. That sometimes when you're on the right path is when things are the hardest. And that was a very difficult lesson for me to learn, because I really did think I fell kind of for some marketing hype that if it's right, then it'll be easy and everything will flow and it'll be all, unicorn farts and awesome sauce. And it's not true. It's really not true. Things do still flow, but there's a massive amount of hard work in between. There's an awful lot of tears and sweat and, gnashing of teeth and rending of garments that goes on when you're on your right path, because a lot of times your right path requires you to grow. Yes, it requires you to disassemble yourself, knock yourself onto the floor into a million pieces, and then spend a whole lot of time putting yourself back together in this new form. And guess what? You do that, and you move a few, right? You move, further into your life, and then you reach another level, and you do it all over again. You knock yourself into pieces again and put yourself back together. It's hard. It takes guts. And I have a great deal of admiration for anybody willing to stick with it. But getting the understanding that it never ends kind of knocked me into a grieving process. I was like, what? This is going to happen over and over? This is never going to end? Holy shit. I wouldn't have it any other way. But I did go through a lot of shock and horror when I finally had that realization. Oh, yes. Okay. I want to read that last line again. It doesn't mean that creative living is always easy. It means that creative living is always possible. It's always possible. I once read a heartbreaking letter that Herman Melville wrote to his good friend Nathaniel Hawthorne, complaining that he simply could not find time to work on his book about the whale because I am so pulled hither and thither by circumstances. I love old language, hither and thither. Don't you feel like that? Like you're pulled hither and thither? Thither. Melville said that he longed for a big, wide open stretch of time in which to create. He called it the calm, the coolness, the silent grass-growing mood in which a man ought always to compose. But that sort of luxuriousness simply did not exist for him. He was broke, he was stressed, and he could not find the hours to write in peace. That's Herman Melville. If he was struggling, come on. I do not know of any artist, successful or unsuccessful, amateur or pro, who doesn't long for that kind of time. I don't know of any creative soul who doesn't dream of calm, cool, grass-growing days in which to work without interruption. Somehow, though, nobody ever seems to achieve it, or if they do achieve it through a grant, a friend's generosity, or an artist's residency, that idyll is just temporary, and life will inevitably rush back in. Even the most successful creative people I know complain that they never seem to get all the hours they need in order to engage in dreamy, pressure-free creative exploration. Reality's demands are constantly pounding on the door and disturbing them. On some other planet, in some other lifetime, perhaps that sort of peaceful Eden work environment does exist, but it rarely exists here on Earth. Melville never got that kind of environment, but he still managed to write Moby Dick anyhow. So there you go. That's the end of that chapter. John Acuff says, don't complain to me about not having time to build your business or do your creative work or whatever, and then tell me about how you binge watch Netflix all weekend. You can find 5 minutes to do a daily meditation or some kind of daily practice. Betty said earlier you can color in 10 minutes. And if that's your meditation, great. Because you don't have to sit on a cushion and chant a mantra to meditate. You can practice mindfulness in traffic. You can practice mindfulness and sinking down into that peaceful state that's underneath all the choppy water on top, standing in the line at the grocery store. It ain't easy, but you can do it. And for some people, when I was teaching them meditation, especially teenagers, the thought of them sitting in a chair for 5 or 10 minutes would just make them insane just thinking about it. But going out and practicing a free throw can be meditative if that's the attitude you bring to it. And you're solely focused on a free throw. You're going over and over and over, and you're practicing your line and you're practicing your follow through. That's meditation. I think our definition of meditation is a bit limited. Oh, good. Coloring can be meditation. Crochet. We used to teach the boys to crochet. We had one boy that was making blankets by the day. We were teaching them that to deal with their restless energy and their cravings because we were doing substance abuse work. But crochet can be meditative too. They would all just, you just settle in if you crochet or knit, So doing that every day, it counts. Start counting this stuff. Look around and see if you're not meditating somewhere already. And make that a formal practice. Just label it that way. I'm giving myself this gift of this meditative time. You don't even have to put the word meditation on it. As a gift for my creativity. You're welcome, and I love your handle. Miss Lala Kitty. That's awesome. Okay, I have to run. Do something creative today. You can even take like your gum wrappers and, form them into origami cranes or something. Find something to do. You're welcome. I'm going to go see the dentist. Yay. Okay. Love you guys very much. Have a great day. Bye.